ただいまより未来
The Future Tokyo Sessions wrap-up starts now. Dr. Takenaka, please take the floor. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Now we have very good discussion in 4 different sub-sessions. Brainstorming session means that you discuss on various matters, and then probably the center of the topic meanders and still enjoys. So I'm sure that the facilitator or the reporters will have a great challenge of reporting what's been discussed. Last few minutes that they are working very hard to write what has been discussed. So first we will ask the facilitator to report, and then after that open the floor for comments and also questions. So I would like to ask facilitators to communicate the things that which have been discussed among participants, and some of the common themes, and also some of the very unique, or I would call it spiky issues, which were very interesting to hear. So first of all, the Adachi-san from the Future Living, please start your report. It is extremely difficult to report on this because the area of covering by the living is very, very wide. So it is very difficult to predict the future. But we have resource persons who provide very specific technologies for the society. So I asked a question about them. And lots of limitations, like space and then time. When it comes to shopping activities, many of the space and then time constraints are liberated, and also for the work that the limitations will be we will be emancipated from these different limitations, and also work and the play, the boundary between the two could be blurred in the future. But we should not really just discuss on technologies. Most of our time given to the discussion on what the human being will be doing in the time of the freedom, and also some of the discussion were very philosophical. So 2030, there won't be just one model of the future. In other words, that the individualistic way of life, diversity will be accepted by the society. And in 2030, we really have to aim at a society which can allow different people to explore their different way of life. And how do we create that type of society? We have to change the framework and then regulation of the society, and then that is going to be the challenge for all of us. So that was a summary of our discussion. Then I am the facilitator of discussion. So diversified way of life. It sounds so legitimate, but at this moment we are enjoying a diversified lifestyle too. So in 2035, our diversification right now is going to be the same as now, or it is going to be different. And what type of point of view or the vantage point is necessary for the future? We have changed greatly so far. How are we going to change in the future? I can give you one example. Engineers belong to a company. Let's say an engineer create vehicles in car manufacturers, but these individual engineer will be freelancer, so that the freelancer engineer can contribute to the society and start using his or her knowledge or skills to the communities. So there won't be any belongings of the individual, that each individual can really contribute to the community, even though he or she is engineer, can work also for other disciplines. So that is a true sense of diversification. Okay, so way of work, is also related to that. But in the audience, there are many people who are bound by the rules that you cannot work on the side job. So some people want to work on 2 or 3 different jobs. So I see 2 hands raised. The person in the checkered suit. Thank you. Space and time. Please state your name, please. My name is Fujita. You can eliminate the limitation of space and time and way of work, and society will accept the diversified way of work and the lifestyle. So even in that sense, how Tokyo will maintain its attractiveness? Can Tokyo will be able to maintain its attractiveness to people? If it cannot keep attracting people, then there will be no characteristics of innovation of Tokyo. One more person, 2 more. Please make a succinct question. Please keep raising your hand so that the microphone is brought to you. And please give the microphone to another one too. Thank you. My name is Tanaka. I'm working. I participated in the entertainment session. So new technology, how does it contribute to the entertainment? But we also talked about the very essence of the life. It's not just a new way of doing, but the nature, and also some of the root of our life, like something which does not change. The original core of the beings also revisited. So not the technology, but the nature, such as insects or greeneries. How can we support these nature by technologies? What type of intervention can you think of? Another person there. My name is Kosaka. Culture and civilization. In the course of development, now we are accumulating the cultures, and I believe that the culture is to eliminating the waste. In other words, the culture is the accumulation of the waste itself, so it is contradictory, oxymorons. But civilization is based on the cultures, and I don't think that the culture is born from the civilizations. So I have a concern that there will be no culture in the future. So in 20, 30 years, what would be the innovative idea about the culture and the civilizations? It is a brainstorming questions, very hard to answer. As much as possible, would you try to answer to those questions? 3 questions. We have not discussed on these matters in detail, but issues came up in our discussion which are relevant to some of the questions. So I will give you some example of that. Second one, about the technology. Whether it is a greenery or it is more like emotion-like things, we have not discussed what was the most important one. But the critical issue is that we can accept it. The people who want to be closer to the nature, they want to be closer to the animals or something beautiful. And that again augmented by the technology. So we didn't think of for the sake of technology. We just discussed on the how technology can change our lifestyle and then free ourselves. Then that's going back to the first and then third question. What's going to happen to Tokyo? And I'm sorry to say this to the organizers. We don't have to be in Tokyo. We can live in Singapore, we can be in London, or we can also move around different cities. It is diversification of the lifestyle. So what the value of Tokyo? What makes Tokyo innovative? Then the uniqueness of Tokyo or personality of a Tokyo. will be important. So it's not just the emulation of other city. Tokyo must be unique in certain way. And diversification of cities are there, so that the Tokyo is going to be a unique in its own position. It's a very deep question, and because of the time limitation, we can't really go into the detail. But the definition of the dwelling may change. At the Meiji restoration, now we are emancipated from the restriction of the dwelling, but now we can have a diversification into the dwelling.
Next, future work. I think there was a high expectation for that. A lot of pressure must have been there. Mr. Okoshi, can you explain? Well, people think that there will be the biggest change here, and people hope that there will be biggest change in work. So, technology, AI, robots, are they going to replace our work? I think that's a point of interest for all. And certainly that will happen. That's the conclusion. It's difficult to say with words, but linear work will be lost, or non-linear and non-continuous work will not be replaced. That was the conclusion. Put it in another way, or it could have been expressed in some other terms. When you say discontinuous or non-linear, so continuous or typical work, that will be replaced, but non-linear or discontinuous work will not be. So I think that there's going to be quite a big impact for the white collar. So with the Industrial Revolution, the blue collar work was impacted, but going forward, white collar is going to feel the drastic change. I think that was the consensus. And we talk about the regular employment and non-regular employment. That's the categorization we have. Non-regular is approaching 50%. So that's the estimate that's been presented in statistics. But this division of regular and non-regular, that's losing the viability. One of the speakers said. So everyone's moving toward non-regular. And so this will be a pessimistic discussion if we look at it as a irregular work. But what will be the relationship between companies and individuals? That was discussed, and there are various shades to this discussion. And companies, well, if they're going to outsource much of the work, and if they're going to have more irregular work, then what would be the reason for existence of the company? Well, one reason would be as the party holding large amount of capital, they will continue to exist. Also, from a different perspective, you have companies like Google, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. So these new services emerge in the form of companies. So we have so much change and so many new services emerging. You have to continue to observe that change and develop the services. That kind of functionality will probably remain with the companies. And the projects and the work to materialize that could be modularized and outsourced. I think that was a distinction made. Kevin Kelly's book talks about that. The term becoming, that part will remain with the company as a major trend. And so there is a need for these companies to try to secure these talented people so that their skill of observing change is enhanced. So those companies are designing new offices, trying to attract more people. I think that reflects that need. Now, what will happen to the individuals? Are they going to have a more dry professional relationship with companies and have more empowerment of the individuals? And when that happens, what will the individuals do? Well, concerning uniqueness and diversity, those are important, but concerning labor, scarcity is more important. If you are scarce, you will enjoy high value and high payment for your services. So scarcity changes with the times. Scarcity of now and scarcity 10 years, 20 years from now will be different. Some jobs will go away, but the new work will be born or generated, and there will be scarce skills that will be in demand in each of the times. Now, a new keyword, why do we work? In the past, we wanted to become rich in terms of money, but in the future, we want to be rich in terms of empathy. We want to be empathy rich. Want to enjoy the empathy of others, and more simply, we want to be thanked. You want people to say thank you for the work you've done. That's going to be the primal desire that will motivate us to work. Thank you so much. Things that you apparently discussed. Simple question. Working plays a very large part of our lives. If work is fun, then your life is paradise. If work is a duty, then it's a hell. That's the words of the Russian writer Gorky. So, are we going in the good direction in terms of work? So, what will be the work that will remain? We were discussing that. So, interpersonal work that will always remain. Hospitality-related work will always remain. Well, that sounds nice, but work to apologize, to console, that kind of work will remain with the people, with the human beings. It's actually a tough work. It's not necessarily fun work. Work is never just about fun. Thank you. I think there are various opinions. Want to solicit a few comments from the floor. Make your comments succinct, so there will be no more earthquake announcements. Please, anyone from other sessions? Are we good? Let's say robots will replace people, and we will have more foreigners. And the working environment is going to become more harsh, and our choices are going to be narrowed. That's one extreme view that is out there. But you talk about more free and empathy-filled work. So how those two relate to each other? That's a very difficult question. Another issue is that we're going to live longer. We're going to have a lot more time on our hands. So which part are we going to position as labor and exchange to value? We have to have more choices about that, or else we will not be able to live with this longevity. So the type of work, like 3 to 5 year projects or work as part of your hobby, those diverse choices have to be made available. The current labor concepts are insufficient to define how we will work 20 years from now. Anything from the floor? You were supposed to be most interested in this topic of work. No questions means that you're 100% satisfied, or you have 0% understanding of what was just discussed. So 2 people. State your name and make your comment short, please. Peter Frank. I came from Holland to Japan 25 years ago. Rather than question, I was in the same session. And I was thinking, working, well, in the world, in the financial center in London or the innovation center in Singapore, well, there are those keywords. What would be the keyword for Tokyo? So the lady in the back, Sachiko Tamashige, a journalist. I may be jumping to a different topic, but in Europe, there's a discussion about the basic income. So the national government will guarantee a certain level of income for all the people. So in Switzerland, there was a national referendum about that. I haven't looked at the outcome of that, the referendum, But that kind of basic income, if we are provided that, then the meaning of work will change fundamentally. And so can you talk about the work 25 years from now with that in mind? It's a difficult and concrete question. So first question, what should we aim for in Tokyo? I think Tokyo should be a city of not just one function, but it should aim for aggregation and accumulation of various functions. We have special zones, and it's not just finance, it's not just art. Multifunctionality, I think, could be a key feature of Tokyo. Now, Tokyo was ranked number 3 in that survey. So we have to do analysis about what led to the Tokyo's ranking being enhanced. We will address that in the wrap-up. So basic income, I think that's a very important discussion. I don't know if it will be accepted in the Japanese society, but so the rights will be returned to the individual side. So we guarantee your life, so give it a chance. Take your chance. So in the past, the society or the companies provided that guarantee, but that is provided to the individual. That sounds like empowerment, but you're really left to fend for yourself with that minimum support. So it seems like stability and freedom, but it could lead to even more severe conditions for people. So that's why this is so controversial. And we would like to delve deeper, but we need to move on. Let's go to mobility.
In mobility, there are quite a few people are there gathered, so just I'd like you to sum it up what you have discussed. The first I have already mentioned to before, future mobility, that means autonomous driving and sharing economy, and those are the ones for the focus of our discussion. And Akipa, the CEO, has been here, so on how they are going to utilize the real estate very efficiently, and how the lifestyle is going to be changed, and how they're going to change the mode of the work. So we have proceeded the work and discussion. So that's always just discussed on the matter with the enjoy, and then also we have got lots of the questions from the floor. So we have already answered the question of more than 10. And then for the hot topic is autonomous driving. And what is the autonomous driving? And the ones in question is in Japan, and in comparison with the other part of the world, the way it should be, it's the situation of autonomous driving is very different. So I didn't know the exact change, and I have asked the expert. In Japan, they usually for automotive companies and then do the like a full-stop shopping and one-stop shopping type. However, for the North America, centering on overseas, and they have expertise going to be more like coordinating together to just make a service. So it's more like an alliance-oriented way. So that means in the U.S. or the western part, and they are going to just brushing up of the expertise, and then to make a collaboration will be advanced faster than Japanese, which is one company does everything. So probably, and to think about it for autonomous driving, somebody knows, somebody didn't know. However, all over the world, they have level 1, 2, 3, 4. And then to think about the autonomous driving is level 3. That means it's not fully automated. However, that and the human and then for the machine are going to be collaborating. However, level 4 is fully automated, so fully autonomous driving. So no person's intervention. So level 3 will be even more difficult than level 4 because coordination of the human being and the vehicle are required. So some people say that maybe we jump level 3, and then we should, it may have some society with the level 4 with fully automated cars. So from that point of view, how it's going to be changed in urban life? So you can imagine the Tokyo, in the center of Tokyo, around here, for the commuting. and then probably you take like a Yamanote line is jam-packed trains, and then coming to work. However, everything is going to be autonomous driving or partially autonomous driving. People appeared for commuting. That means, and if you gather one station, and then if you're going to go to the one direction, then this traffic jam occurs. So for destination of the people are various, different. So door-to-door movement individually, and then if it's going to be controlled by computing power. So in this case, probably the congestion is not being happened. So it was very interesting. So from that point of view, so they have like a shift working, and then also it's more like a future work I'm going to talk about. The people commuting in a different time, and a robot taxi and a company is our members as well here, and a robot taxi's views that he has talked about. In a taxi fee, maybe due to the congestion situation, or maybe time of the day, and should be different. So more like for the commuting time in the morning, and then even it's a higher tariff than people can purchase the service. But at night, and then it doesn't change very much. And then the company doesn't really disappear all of a sudden, and then we gather here, and which is very important for face-to-face. And then people and still move the people regardless of the autonomous driving or not. And then due to the congestion situation and for a flexible tariffing, and for some of the organization, and like the enterprise or the big building, it's not a good idea to just concentrate into the metropolitan Tokyo. It's a good idea to be distributed to other the regional areas. So another one is like increasing Amazon or Rakuten's shopping, and then now it's more and more, and the shopping is increasing. So probably the movement of the commodity is more frequently than the human beings' mobility. So that logistics may be developed more than the people's moving out. So if it's going to be a level 4 autonomous driving, it should maybe a good idea to have the dedicated lane for autonomous driving. However, that we have to look at the high-tech situation, and they have a separate one, and a high-tech city. The environment should be built, and that will be very good way for the drones flying around and then autonomous driving there. So thank you very much. And then most of the discussion is for the autonomous driving, right? So what about railways or the airplanes? And regarding that mobility, do we have any issues regarding it? Well, I think for the airlines and then also trains, they may have more like autonomous driving. So the personal mobility is going to be used for last 1 mile movement. So like a small car is jointly built into the vehicles. So maybe like little vehicles is built into the trains going to be connecting from Tokyo to Osaka, as you can see all the way. And for vehicle itself, it's not just for transport, and it's going to be for information and a living place as well. And I would like to entertain the questions from the floor. There may be 2 to 3 on the questions or the comment. Please. My name is Hayashi, participating into this group. And we talked about autonomous driving, and then I feel its realization is very, very close. So that means like a 2 separate one for the pedestrians and for the road are going to be separated. Well, that means 2020 is possible. It's possible to have autonomous driving versus the regular driving have to be separated location. And I think it's going to be 2035. So that means 2020, those who are here to realize the vision, and then how far you're going to realize it, and then it's going to realize by 2020. So those who are in the for the participants, and I hope that some of you are from here to just make the vision and 2020. Probably you can do it. For I think you can do that. So you can take a lead for. My name is Iwakura. It's the same group. So regarding autonomous driving and not going through the people. So that means. That means that ownership or the concept of ownership is going to be gone. So that means the sharing. So how they are going to just share it. So like now is owning the car, but it's going to be shared the car. How it's going to be changed. So like a vehicle are going to be possessed the car by the city and not individual. Or so because of innovative city forum. So you can just make a comment for this. And then just the question, and talking about the automation. So think it's more like a two-dimensional, and then for three-dimensional right now, that is a drone or some flying object, and that is going to be appeared as a tool. So for automation of the three-dimensional way, for it's going to be science fiction movie. So probably the car is going to move around or flying around the sky. So that is image. So the 2035 and afterwards, and if you're going to think about that movement, please address this. Well, you are just raising a very difficult question to ask. Well, 2020, and regarding the vision, as Takanaka-san has already mentioned, for individual people, the person have to have their view. What are the impediment here? And we have already talked about is the biggest impediment is the law and the regulation. First, we have to set a rule and we do something. So we have to change it. And then usually for Western society, and if you have no rule, then you can try it. And then they're going to have the rule later on. So that is the biggest challenge for Japan. So regardless of we can do or not for the technology, so we can, in this situation right now, we can do this for realize this autonomous driving by 2020 from technological point of view. So another thing, so just the society own the car rather than individual have the car. So in this case, for many companies have to have the collaboration to do this, because infrastructure looks like an image of the nation provide. However, an automobile is manufactured by individual enterprises. So that means you have to have a good an alliance to just mitigate the like the congestion of the road. In this case, you have to have some of the like a communication of the vehicle to vehicle. So if it's going to be an autonomous driving, so if Turamon Hills around here, lots of congested area around here, in this case, some of the service provider is not the only one to take an action. So all the service providers around the like a Turamon Hills area and to just give instruction to mitigate the situation. So that means like overall linkage is very important. And then for I really like the Back to the Future, so that as you have already mentioned for the three-dimensional vehicle arrive. I don't think I can. I don't think I can image the car flying the sky. So. And then for the Mori Memorial Foundation, and we have that how they are going to evolve the airplane as well itself. So you can look forward to. So, and I would like to ask Professor Ichikawa.
We discussed on the future of the entertainment. Well, saying entertainment, there are so many types of entertainment. So we focused on the entertainment which are changed by the technology's evolution. So we discussed on what would be the changes in the mindsets and also the cities. We had over 1 hour discussion, and we couldn't really get the conclusions how the mindsets of the people will change accordingly. But I think that the participants started thinking about how this will affect people's mindsets. One is that the PlayStation or game devices or movies in the theaters
and also the entertainment in amusement centers. At the end, how the virtual experience will be closer to the real experience. So even though you see movie in a theater, whether you can experience that in the physical city or not, and there was an experiment to merge these two. So virtual entertainment is improving, but how close that virtual entertainment will be closer to that of the real physical world. So Pokemon Go is also the merging of the virtual games and then the physical world. So I think that the challenge is that how we can fill the gap between the virtual world and then physical world. Then what about the timeline of the technological evolution and the timeline of the city structures and also the people's mindsets? And these three are all different. So which takes the initiative? At this moment, technology is taking the lead among the three, but how this technology can give influence to remaining the two. The autonomous car, schemes, regulations may change, but the change of timelines are different in regulations and also human beings' mindsets and also technologies themselves. So current theater, when producer create a quality movie, then now movie become 4D, so they can maintain the audience. That's very closer to the live performance. So it's going to be a keyword for the entertainment people to work on the live performance. I have one question. It's your specialty. You mentioned about the entertainment space, projection mapping, again in the space, and you can have a certain space for entertainment. And also the shopping center, also shopping mall become the entertainment space too. So what would be the future entertainment space? We have discussed on that point. City planning wise, we have to create the city so that diversified entertainment scheme can be created. And also the content of the entertainment is changeable. If you use projection mapping, you can create anything. We simulated the fire of the Osaka castle, and you can recreate the fire in the physical castle, so that the precision mapping can create the live experience of the fire of the Osaka castle, and we can use that in the real life. Mr. Nanjo has high expectation for the merging of the two, and I had the impression that we can do this in the real life. Any question? Maybe one or two. Person in the back. My name is Akai. I was at the entertainment session, and right before the mobility, you mentioned that the mobility should be starting from the free regulation district or zones. Architect, when they create the buildings, that they have to discuss on what are the target residents, who the architect want them to come to that building. So the same thing can be said for the city. So entertainment can empower the city, whether the entertainment should lead the people or just leave it to the free will of the people. Which direction are you thinking? Please share your comment. Ichikawa-san, please. Architect Mr. Sasaki and also Mr. Kasai gave suggestions, new directions. With respect to that particular question, projection mapping was done at the Tokyo station. It was so popular, and so many people were there. So the Tokyo police prohibited that the projection map anymore because too many people gathered. So when you operate entertainment, you really have to make sure that people can enjoy. So projection mapping can make something new in the existing building, but the current regulation do not catch up with it. There are so much possibilities, but usually authority prevent it because of the regulations and laws. So how do we overcome this issue? You create new buildings, you do the new technology employed in that entertainment, but you really have to have a new regulation there. Anything else? Okay. Any other question? I'm sure that the ambiguities are still there, but I hope that you will take it as a homework and then keep thinking about them after this. So I will ask Mr. Ishikawa, what would be the charms of Tokyo, whether it is going to be financial center or some other aspect? I talked about the ranking of the cities, city rankings. If you compare Tokyo to New York and London, there is no specific strength of that town. It is overall good, but not uniquely good in certain area. So access to the cultures and others have improved. So Tokyo is ranked as number 3. So for the future, what would be the status of Tokyo? Would you comment on the uniqueness of Tokyo too for the future? It's just a few minutes, so a bit difficult. But Okoshi-san said that Tokyo has many different traits, and Paris is famous for its fashion, and US has Broadway, music and entertainment. London is a financial center, but Tokyo, no naming. But that's overall relatively good traits or characteristics could be good, rather than just looking at the unique strengths of that city. But Tokyo have to be evaluated as the overall comprehensive level of the livelihood. Tokyo in 20 years, we have good technologies. How much technology can we really make use of? China is catching up with us, but how can we combine technologies with content? If we can mash them up in a very good way, then Tokyo can enhance its ability, like animations. We have some basic skills and traits for good at combining different things. Invention and innovations are different. Invention is discussing on the possibilities, but whether you can realize it in the society and really change the lifestyle, that is an innovation. But we still have imperatives, has impediments such as the regulations and laws. So even for the autonomous car, you can't really drive it on the public road because of the law. So we really have to overcome many impediments like this. So at the end, I would like you to take up this controller again.
So I'd like to ask you the same question again, and I wonder how the response have changed. So with the development of technology and values, which of the following do you think is most likely to face the largest transformation in Tokyo? 1, work; 2, living; 3, mobility; 4, entertainment. please press either of the 4 buttons, please. Thank you. This is the result that we have. Compared with the initial response, we see a dramatic change. So when we asked earlier, also there's a comparison there. It was on the left-hand side. A lot of people said work. And so less people say that there's going to be a change in work. What do you think, Ms. Okoshi? And living has garnered more votes. Entertainment remained the same, had stable amount of votes. So, Ms. Okoshi, well, your votes moved to the other 2. This is not an election, so that's not a problem. Second question, please. Out of the 4 spheres, in which one would you like to see the biggest change? What's your desires? Where do you want to see the change? So 1, work, 2, living, 3, mobility, 4, entertainment. Again, please press one of the 4 buttons. Let's see how this compares. This is the ratio. Compare it with the previous response. So less answers for work. So expectation and evaluation both down. But for the other choices, not much change. For entertainment, more people want to see change than before. So I leave it up to you to interpret this data. But as a result of the session, we saw this big change. So I think that means that the session was worthwhile. Of course, there are many issues that need to be discussed. But from today's discussion, if there was 1 or 2 things that impacted your thinking, I would be very happy. Facilitators, and resource persons, and all of you yourselves in the audience, let's give yourselves a round.